Hi, it's Kiffin Lobates here. So earlier this week I had an experience that shows me what kind of trouble we're all in when it comes to the internet and purchasing and mobile devices. My son, who was not even a teenager yet, managed to rack up 250 euros worth of in-app purchases. And then when I went through the phone bills, I found out that he'd managed to do the same thing back in October last year as well. And it took quite a bit of sleuthing in order to determine exactly what had happened. So my family's too big for me to monitor everybody in Google Family Link because they only allow 6 family members. And what I did was I set up a Google account, I got a SIM card, and I checked out, locked down everything that I could on it, and but one thing I overlooked is that I didn't put a password protection on Google Play. However, given that I hadn't loaded a PayPal account or a credit card into it, my reasoning was that there was no way that he could buy anything without my permission. And unfortunately, it turns out that with 3 taps, you can enable payment by mobile subscription, something that I wasn't aware of. Of course, there are masses of things in the computer world that I am not aware of, and also it wasn't malicious or selfish on his part, because the 2 incidents in October and again in mid-March happened when I went out and bought a Google Play gift card for 15 euros. So we had this agreement that if he wanted to buy something and he'd worked hard or something, I would go and buy one of these gift cards, load it onto the device, and then he could go and play his game and buy Robux or V-Bucks or whatever the things are that he gets, chickens I think in one game. And so both incidents happened in the 3 or 4 days following me loading a Google gift card onto the phone. So what happened in his mind, and he's still clueless as to how he managed to do this and feels quite bad about it, but of course it's not his fault, is that he would go into his game and start buying stuff, and he would just keep buying stuff until the money ran out. Now, what he didn't realise was that he was spending the 15 euros that had been loaded onto him as a treat, not onto him, onto his phone as a treat, and then continued to spend on the mobile subscription for another 250 euros until that capped out. And thank goodness the cap was at 250 euros because he managed to go through that in about 3 days, and not 2,500, because then I would be crying while going through this video, whereas as it is, it's painful, but it's not crippling. So I contacted the mobile company and got, unfortunately, a really rather sarky, unpleasant customer service representative who said that it's your phone, it's your SIM card, therefore you have to pay. Do you really expect this phone company to allow you to buy stuff and then us to pay for it? And the fact that I pointed out that it was my son who bought it didn't seem to cut any mustard. Now, similarly, Google is useless when it comes to refunds. You have to reclaim within 2 hours of buying something, and in-app purchases are not refundable, and there are no contact numbers or anything. They distance themselves like some you just can't get to talk to anybody in Google. And my final option is to try and get in touch with the companies that develop the apps, but they're all in the US, so they're not going to give a toss about some young kid in Finland who accidentally spends a load more money than he was expecting to. So anyway, that's a not so short summary of what happened. And what it tells me though is that, I'm not the world's greatest security expert, but I know a lot about these kind of things, and I check things out as thoroughly as I can. But of course, I do not have 10 hours a week to spend checking what amazing new options and methods for buying stuff have suddenly appeared on my phone. And I guess the lesson here is that really we have 4 choices actually. The first choice is that we just accept that we're going to lose money occasionally on these things, which is probably what's going to happen here. The second one is to say, that's it, no mobile devices for my kids. They can wait till they're 18 and go out into the world and then squander their own money. But that seems a bit draconian because that's not the society we live in. The third one is just to accept that you are going to spend 2 to 3 hours a day for the rest of your life until, well, not rest of your life, but for the rest of the time that your children are living at home and you're responsible for them, checking up on everything. So you basically become big brother. All again, it's not really feasible, but I guess technically I could do that. And what was the fourth idea I had? Yes, the fourth one is we petition the authorities to ensure that these things are locked down. Some people will suffer, like me and a bunch of other parents out there, and then eventually the ombudsman or whoever will say, right, that's not allowed anymore. So I think that's probably what is going to happen. Eventually enough people are going to have this experience and the authorities will step in and say, mobile subscription providers, you've messed up. We are taking the right of you to be able to act as a payment authority off you, and you're going to lose that 2.5%, and they'll be miserable about it because it was a nice profit maker, but it will be their own fault. Anyway, bit longer than usual this one, but hey, you may have yourself put down as a blockchain expert and security expert, but that doesn't mean that your kids can't go and squander your summer holiday budget in the space of 3 days. So that's it from me today. I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.